Guys, are you kidding me? Louis Vuitton are about to drop 3 new sizes of the Pochette clay or their key pouch. We're about to have 4 pouches in total because the original classic size, the permanent line, is remaining. Other than that giant unwearable Pochette clay that they released a year or two ago, there has not been any other official Pochette clay sizes in like ever. To my knowledge, I don't think it's ever happened before. So in today's video, we're going to be looking at what is going to be released, what are the prices, and we're going to discuss whether they're worth it or not by comparing it to other Louis Vuitton SLGs that already exist that are similar sizes. Okay, so what exactly is dropping? So Louis Vuitton are releasing 3 new sizes of the key pouch or pochette clay, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be the small, the medium, and the large, and that is in addition to the already existing OG classic size. That means we're going to be having 4 sizes in total. Now the prices, it hasn't dropped exactly yet, so this is the rumored prices. So we know the classic is $330, the small is rumored to be $365, the medium is rumored to be $490, and the large, this has a bit of a big jump, this is rumored to be $735 US dollars. Now there are 2 main things that I noticed about the new sizes. There seems to be an upgrade with the interior as compared to the classic. So they will now feature a slip pocket on the interior, which is great. However, only the medium and the small come with the classic key pouch or pochette clay keychain. It appears as though the large size does not. Now we have the approximate sizes here for you on the screen, and the large one actually looks really functional. If you look at the base, so that's 13 inches. That is over 30 centimeters. So that is longer than a Speedy 30. That is very functional. And the medium, this is very close to a Speedy 25 length. It's about 23 centimeters. So again, another very functional size. So I think these are going to be great additions to people's collections. Very functional pieces. And the large one, if you have like a small tablet, you might even be able to get away with using it as like a tablet sleeve. Interestingly, the small one is about 25% longer and taller than the classic pochette clay, but only 10% more expensive. Now the medium is about 60% longer and taller than the small clay, but only about 30% more expensive. And even more interestingly, the large is about 40% longer and 50% taller than the medium, but it's actually a whole 50% more expensive. So just judging by that sort of calculation, it looks as though the large isn't like as good value for money. However, it is the most functional size, so maybe that's why they can get away with it. But all in all, so far, I think these prices are a relatively good deal considering the current prices of Louis Vuitton pieces at the moment with all the price increases we've had over the years anyway. So far, it's looking like a good deal. Now let's discuss whether or not we think it's worth it for the price by comparing it to similar SLGs which already exist in the Louis Vuitton range. So starting with the small, so let's compare this to the mini pochette. So the mini pochette and the small pochette clay are roughly the same height and length. However, the mini pochette is obviously wider, about nearly 3 times wider. However, the small pochette clay is about half the price. So if you're looking for an SLG about the same size as the mini pochette, but you don't mind that it's much skinnier, and you find the mini pochette is just like way too expensive, it's over 700 US dollars or over 1,000 Australian dollars, then definitely the small pochette clay could be a very good, more affordable alternative. So I'm looking at the pochette clay as actually good value for money as compared to the mini pochette. I know it's skinnier, but the price point is definitely better for getting roughly the same height and length. I know it's not the same width. Next, let's compare the medium-sized pochette clay. So the medium pochette clay is really close to 24 centimeters, and that's comparable to the large toiletry pouch from the Toiletry Trio. That's about 26 centimeters. Now the Toiletry Trio you do have to buy as a set. So just to make the comparison a little bit more equal, I'm going to compare set against set. So if you were to buy all 3 pochette clays in the new size, you would be paying $1,590 US dollars as compared to $1,520 for the Louis Vuitton Toiletry Trio set. Having said that, the big Toiletry trio is more comparable to the medium Pochette Cles as opposed to the large Pochette Cles. So overall, the Toiletry trio sizes are smaller compared to the Pochette Cles sizes, but they're all wider and can hold more. So maybe actual capacity wise, they are going to be pretty similar, even though the Toiletry trios seem smaller, but they probably hold the same because they're fatter. So their prices are nearly the same if you compare set versus set. So roughly equal value for money. So the Pochette Cles seem like they're worth the money there because the Toiletry trios are definitely a long-standing item that people still buy no matter the price. So the Pochette Cles probably roughly equal value for money there. So I think it's a good deal. So next, the Pochette Cles medium is also roughly the same size as the large Kirigami pouch. Similarly, the Kirigami pouches have to be sold in a set of 3. So to make this comparison a bit more equal, we're going to compare set to set again. So the set of 3 Cles would cost you about $1,590 whereas all 3 Kirigami pouches, the set is only $760 So the Pochette Cles are about double the price of the Kirigami set. Having said that, the Kirigami large is only sort of comparable to the Pochette Cles medium. So the Pochette Cles are bigger and you are getting more capacity as opposed to the Kirigami pouch. But in this comparison, it actually seems less value for money, less of a good deal compared to the Kirigami pouch. However, there are upsides to having a zipper and a slip pocket and an actual sort of pencil case design as opposed to the Kirigami, which just has one snap button and it has that sort of V shape there. So even though it's about double the price and less good value for money, it is more functional. So there are pros and cons there. So overall, the Pochette Cles aren't terrible value for money compared to the Kirigamis, but just a little bit less value for money. Additionally, they don't have all the beautiful colors that the Kirigami pouches have on the inside. Next up, the large pouch. So this is a really good 33 centimeter bottom. So this is even longer than the Speedy 30, keep that in mind. So this is comparable to the SLG known as the Daily pouch. So the Daily pouch is a tad smaller. It's only about 30 centimeters on the bottom. And it's also a tad smaller in the height as well. Now the Daily pouch does feature some black leather, but it is $760 versus $735 for the slightly bigger large Pochette Cles. They are both roughly the same width. So the Pochette Cles is a little bit bigger and a little bit cheaper, whereas the Daily pouch is a tad smaller, but it does have leather, which makes it a bit more expensive. So those two are really comparable, and by that comparison, the Pochette Cles actually looks like a good deal. Good value for money there. Overall, in my books, the Pochette Cles are worth the money, particularly if you like sort of bigger, more functional SLGs from Louis Vuitton that are made from canvas. So tell me in the comment section, what is your opinion on these new releases? What do you think about the 3 new sizes that they're dropping? And what do you think about these rumored price points? Do you think it's reasonable, not reasonable, worth it, or not worth it? And tell me, what do you think about the way I assessed and analyzed the price to see if it's worth it or not? What do you think about the way I compared the price of each size to itself and I said it's this much percent bigger but only this much percent more expensive? And tell me, what do you think of the way I analyzed the price against other similarly sized SLGs? Like when I compared the small Pochette Cles to the mini Pochette. Let me know what your thoughts are, and if you have any suggestions on how I can improve the way I consider whether something is worth it or not worth it, let me know in the comment section. So tell me, are you going to be buying these new Pochette Cles? Are you excited for these new release Pochette Cles? I'd love to hear who's going to be putting their hand up to be ordering these new pieces. Now, if you guys haven't already seen, I made a whole video about the crazy rich Asian celebrity that bought Jeffree Star's house with his Black Vault and her $700,000 Hermes handbag collection. I'm going to leave that video here. And if you guys have a vintage Louis Vuitton bag with the sticky tarry pocket that needs to be cleaned out, I show you my step-by-step guide that I personally follow to clean out these sticky pockets and make them usable. And I'll leave that here.